Oh, what's up? Happy Wednesday. Glad that you're here. So, what we're going to talk about today is a framework for the mind, a way to think about things because every single day we have these thoughts that don't serve us well. But one thing that makes you and I uniquely human is that there's something called metacognition. And you've probably heard me talk about this before, but metacognition is your ability to think about what you're thinking about. So, we don't just have this animal brain that just thinks, that just has a drive, for food, sex, water, shelter. Those are thoughts. We have the ability to actually think about what we're thinking about. We have the ability to deeply process things. We have the ability to use our imagination. We have our ability to be creative, and that's uniquely human. So metacognition is your ability to think about what you're thinking about. The challenge that most people go through in the life, and I'm not talking about you. If you're here, you're different. You're one of my people. I'm like you, you're like me. But the vast majority of people don't ever think about what they're thinking about. What they do is they go through life and they just get programmed by every message that's out there, from CNN and the news to the newspaper to magazines to billboards and radio advertising and Sirius XM satellite radio advertising and print material coming in the mailbox and whatever's on Netflix. That's literally how they're programming their mind, and they never, because they're lazy, because they're apathetic, or because they're just ignorant, they don't know any better, they never take time to analyze their own thoughts and what it's doing to them, because the human mind is a program. It's just like a computer. You can program a computer to do certain things. And good luck going against its programming. It won't function. So if we want to change the way that our brain is functioning, meaning we want to change the output of our lives, because everything starts first in the mind. Your health, your wellness, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your finances, everything that you do first starts in your mind. It gets processed there through thousands and thousands of thoughts. So we have to analyze, if we want a different outcome in our life, we need to look at our program. We need to look at the program that's running and make sure that we optimize it, tweak it, and change it so that we can get a better output. That's the way that the mind works. And metacognition gives you the opportunity to evaluate your thoughts and to think about what you're thinking about and why you're thinking those thoughts, and making sure that it's serving you so that you can critique it, you can change it, you can tweak it to get a better output. And so the thought today is, when we have these thoughts that don't serve us well, we have the ability to analyze those thoughts and change that program that's running in our mind to optimize our outcome. And one of those frameworks, if you will, that I'm going to give you today are excuses versus reasons. Excuses versus reasons. Your mind all the time will give you an out. It'll give you an excuse. And let me tell you something about excuses. Any one of them will do. Oh, I haven't had enough sleep. Oh, I don't have enough money. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. I'm not fit enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the education. Look, any of those excuses will work. You can just pick one. It's not hard. It doesn't take much work to come up with an excuse. Any one will do. But you have the opportunity to change an excuse into a reason when it is appropriate. When you're thinking about your thoughts, when you're thinking about what you're thinking about, you have the opportunity to say, hey, am I using an excuse to keep me back from the ideal life? Is it worth the trade? Because everything you do is a trade. And I'm not just talking about in the market. Many of you invest in the market. You're traders. It's what you do. Part-time, full-time, spare time, trying to learn it. You're a pro at it, trying to get better, somewhere in between. That's awesome. But your life is a series of trades. When you say yes to something, you are by default saying no to dozens of other things. When you invest your time somewhere, you are saying no to dozens of other areas of your life that you can invest that time. When you buy something, you're sending financial resources to one thing, and by default, you're saying no to every other opportunity that you could put that money into. It's a trade. And so we have to think about the trade. When we're making an excuse, is it because the price is not worth the promise? Like, I don't have a body that looks like on the front of Health and Fitness Men's Magazine, okay? Why? Because the trade to get to that state of my life is not a worthy trade. I have a lot of priorities. Health is one of them. Fitness is one of them. I mean, I work out like crazy. I'm passionate about health and wellness. I track a lot of different things to keep up with my health. I'm in the gym. I want to be fit. I want to be healthy, but I don't want to be, I'm not willing to pay the price. I'm not willing to accept the opportunity cost to being like the front of a fitness magazine level. It's just not worth the trade to me. So we have to analyze our thoughts. Are we making excuses because the trade is not worth it? Then that's a valid excuse. But oftentimes we make excuses for the areas of life that we actually want to optimize and we want to improve. Like there's probably at least one main area of your life that you're like, man, this has to get better. Be it your health, your wealth, your finances, your investing, your marriage, your children, your ministry, your work, your nonprofit, your community, your whatever. Like there's some area of your life that you probably drastically want to improve. So we need to look at the excuses that come up in your mind and say, hey, is this an excuse or should I flip it into a reason? So if you say, well, hey, I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. Well, let me ask you a question. If you invested your time in X, Y, and Z, would it give you more time on the back end? Because if it will, it's a worthy trade. If I don't have time to read, but I decide to get up 30 minutes earlier in my day, is it worth the trade to get the education to become a better version of myself, compounded over time over the next 10 years? To me, it's a worthy trade. So I get up in the morning early, typically before my wife or my son gets up, and I get all of my reading done before they're even awake. Why? Because it's a worthy trade. Because I know I'm not going to have time during the day. I have the same excuse you do. I get freaking busy, man. I got a million things going on at all points in time. So I have to think about, is this an excuse or is it a reason? The excuse is I need sleep. I'm not getting up in the morning. The reason is I need to get up in the morning so that I can compound myself, get better every single day over the next 10 years and become the person that I'm supposed to become. And if I need to get up earlier, then I need to figure out a way to go to bed earlier. And that is a worthy trade. It's no longer an excuse. It's a reason to perform. So that's my question for you today is, where do you have excuses in your life? And some of those are valid excuses because the trade is not worth it. But many of those, probably most of those, should be changed from an excuse to an excuse not to do something into a reason that you must do something. And when you have that paradigm shift in your mind, watch what happens to your programming. Your programming is going to change. Your operating system is going to change. It's going to optimize for better output, and your life is going to improve. That's all I got for you today. God bless you, and we'll see you around. Bye for now.